Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. Before moving to the topic, please subscribe to our channel for more such videos and press the bell icon for further updates. We are going to deal with the first chapter of human physiology, that is digestion and absorption. Physiology is the branch of biology that deals with the normal functions of living organisms and their parts. The chapter will be taken in two parts. In this session, we look into the anatomy of the gastrointestinal tract and the digestive glands. So let's start. Food is the basic requirement of all living organisms, as we all know. The major components of our food are carbohydrates, proteins and fats, while vitamins, minerals and dietary fibers are also required in small quantities. So what is digestion basically? Digestion is the conversion of complex food substances into simple absorbable forms. The digestive system of our body consists of the alimentary canal and the associated digestive glands. First, we look into the alimentary canal. The alimentary canal begins with an anterior opening, the mouth, and it opens out posteriorly through the anus. To brief, from the mouth, the food enters the buccal cavity or the oral cavity. From the oral cavity, it reaches the pharynx. From the pharynx, through the esophagus, it reaches the stomach. From the stomach, it enters the small intestine, which is divided into duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. From the ileum, it enters the large intestine, which is divided into cecum, colon, rectum, and finally, anus. Now we'll move into detail. The mouth leads to the buccal cavity or oral cavity. The oral cavity has a number of teeth and a muscular organ, tongue. Each tooth is embedded into the socket of the jawbone. This type of attachment is known as thecodont type of attachment, whereas in certain reptiles and amphibians we can see that tooth is attached to the tip of the socket of the jawbone, and such type of attachment is known as acrodont. Majority of the mammals, including the human beings, forms two sets of teeth during their life. A set of temporary or milk or deciduous teeth replaced by a set of permanent or adult teeth. This type of dentition, in which there is two sets of teeth in a lifetime, it's known as diphyodont type of dentition. An adult human has 32 permanent teeth, which are of four different types. As we all know, incisors, canines, premolars, and the molars. Arrangement of teeth in each half of the upper and lower jaw in the order incisor, canine, premolars, and molars is represented by a dental formula, which in human adult is 2, 1, 2, 3. Whereas in case of milk teeth or temporary set of teeth, the dental formula will be modified as 2, 1, 0, 2, whereas the temporary set of teeth lacks premolars and a pair of molars. The hard chewing surface of the teeth is made up of enamel, which is calcium phosphate, the hardest substance in our body. This helps in the mastication or chewing of the food thoroughly. The tongue is a freely movable muscular organ which consists of many muscles such as genioglossus, hyoglossus, styloglossus, etc., of which genioglossus is the fan-shaped muscle which we can all observe in our tongue. The tongue is attached to the oral cavity or buccal cavity by a muscular flap which is known as the frenulum, to be more specific, frenulum linguae or lingual frenulum. The upper surface of the tongue contains tiny projections known as papillae which bears taste buds. Taste buds help us in the recognition of the taste. The papillae in our body are mainly of four types, which includes circumvallate papillae, foliate papillae, filiform papillae, etc. Now moving on, The oral cavity leads into a short pharynx which serves as a common passage for both food and air. The esophagus, that is the food pipe, and the trachea, that is the windpipe, both opens into the pharynx. A cartilaginous flap known as the epiglottis prevents the entry of food into the glottis. Glottis is the opening of the windpipe during swallowing. If the epiglottis fails to function, it may lead to a serious life-threatening condition known as choking, where the food enters the trachea and obstructs the process of respiration. Moving on, the esophagus then leads to a J-shaped bag-like structure known as the stomach. The stomach is located in the upper left portion of our abdominal cavity, and it has 4 major parts, 3 as per NCERT. So, the parts of the stomach, the part to which the esophagus opens is known as the cardiac region. The topmost portion of the stomach is the fundus, the middle portion the body, and the terminal portion is the pylorus. There are 2 sphincters that guards the openings in the stomach, namely the cardiac sphincter or the esophageal sphincter that guards the opening of esophagus into the stomach, and that guards the opening of pylorus into the duodenum, that is the first part of the small intestine. The sphincters prevents the regurgitation or the backflow of the food. The opening of the stomach into the duodenum is guarded by the pyloric sphincter. As discussed, the duodenum is the first part of the small intestine, which is followed by the jejunum, which is the middle, less coiled part, and it is followed by the ileum, that is the longest, most coiled part of the small intestine. Ileum opens into the large intestine. It is guarded by the ileocecal valve or the ileocecal sphincter. The large intestine is divided into the cecum, colon, rectum, and finally the anus. Cecum is a blind sac which hosts some symbiotic microorganisms. It also contains a narrow finger-like tubular projection which is vestigial, and it's known as vermiform appendix. Sometimes this appendix may get enlarged or inflamed by the accumulation of toxic metabolites, and this may lead to a serious condition known as appendicitis, which is manifested as colicky pain or very severe pain in the right lower abdomen. From the cecum, the food enters the colon. The colon is divided into 3 as per NCERT. The ascending colon, the transverse colon, the descending colon, and the sigmoid colon. Then it reaches the rectum, where it is stored and it is passed out through the anus. The anus has 2 sphincters, the internal anal sphincter and the external anal sphincter. The internal anal sphincter is involuntary, that is, we cannot control the movements of internal anal sphincters, whereas the external anal sphincter is voluntary. Thus, we can control our urge to defecate when the time comes. So, moving on, the cross section of the gut wall. The wall of the alimentary canal from esophagus to the rectum possesses 4 layers, namely the serosa, muscularis, submucosa, and mucosa. The serosa is the outermost layer, and it is made up of thin mesothelium, that is the epithelium of the visceral organs, with some connective tissue. Muscularis is formed by smooth muscles. Usually they are arranged into 2, that is inner circular and outer longitudinal set of muscles. Sometimes an oblique layer of muscles may be present in some regions like stomach. Don't confuse with the figure because longitudinal muscles, if taken under cross section, appears as circular. Next is the submucosal layer, which is formed of loose connective tissues containing nerves, blood vessels, lymph vessels, etc. In the duodenum, glands are also present in submucosa, namely the Brunner's glands. The innermost layer, lining the lumen of the alimentary canal, is the mucosa, and it is the most important layer. The mucosa forms many modifications in different parts of the alimentary canal. It forms irregular folds which are known as gastric rugae in the stomach, which helps to accommodate large meals, that is, helps the stomachs to stretch to accommodate large amount of food and also helps in the movement of the food. Next modification of the submucosa is the villus or the villi. Villi are small finger-like projections in the small intestine. The cells lining the villi produce numerous microscopic projections known as microvilli that helps in the movement of the food. These modifications increase the surface area enormously and helps in the absorption of the food. The villi are supplied with large network of capillaries and a large big lymph vessel which is known as the lacteal. The mucosal epithelium has goblet cells which secretes mucus that helps in the lubrication of the food. Mucosa also forms glands in the stomach, that is gastric glands, and crypts in between the bases of the villi in the intestine. These crypts are known as crypts of Lieberkühn. That also secretes digestive juices and helps in the projection in the digestion process. That finishes our alimentary canal. Now we are moving on to the digestive glands. The digestive glands associated with the alimentary canal include the salivary glands, the liver, and the pancreas. First, we look into the salivary glands. The salivary glands are of three pairs in our body. The first one is the parotid glands. The parotid glands is the largest salivary gland located in the cheeks, to be more specific, behind the masseter muscle, which is the strongest muscle in the body. The parotid gland contains a parotid duct that opens into the vestibule of mouth across the upper second molar teeth. The parotid duct is also known as Stenson's duct. It carries the saliva from the salivary gland, that is the parotid gland, into the mouth. It's a serous gland, that is, the saliva secreted by the parotid gland is watery type, and thus this gland is known as a serous gland. Next is the submaxillary gland or submandibular gland. It is located in the lower jaw. It's a seromucous gland. The seromucous glands means the saliva secreted by the submaxillary gland is both watery and also it contains mucus. The last gland is the sublingual gland, which is located below the tongue, as the name suggests. It's a mucus gland. Thus, it says that the saliva secreted by the sublingual gland is thick and mucoid. Moving on, the next is the largest gland of the body, that is the liver. Liver is reddish brown, weighing about 1.2 to 1.5 kg in an adult. It is located just below the diaphragm to the right side of the body. The liver contains two lobes, in which the right lobe is the largest. The hepatocytes or the liver cells are arranged in the microscopy of the liver as hepatic lobules, and these lobules are surrounded by a capsule which is known as Glissen's capsule. We can see in the figure that the white color thing surrounding the cells is the Glissen's capsule. The yellow color organ that we can find in the inferior surface of the liver is the gallbladder that rests in the cystic fossa. Next is the pancreas. Pancreas is the compound gland, that is, it contains both exocrine and endocrine part. The endocrine part is also known as the islets of Langerhans. It contains many types of cells such as alpha cells, beta cells, delta cells and gamma cells, which secretes respective hormones. The hormones are glucagon, insulin, somatostatin, etc. The exocrine part is responsible for the secretion of the digestive juices or the pancreatic juice that helps in the process of digestion. The pancreas is located in the limbs of the duodenum. Speaking of the ducts of the pancreas, looking to the embryology, the pancreas develop as dorsal pancreas and ventral pancreas, and the ducts are two arising from both the dorsal and ventral pancreas, which unites to form the pancreatic duct or the duct of Wirsung. Moving on to the last topic of today, that is biliary system. The bile secreted by the hepatic cells passes through the hepatic ducts and it's stored and concentrated in the gallbladder. The ducts of the gallbladder along with the hepatic duct from the liver forms the common bile duct, which the common bile duct along with the pancreatic duct or the duct of the Wirsung opens into the second part of the duodenum as hepatopancreatic duct. This is guarded by a sphincter which is known as sphincter of Oddi that regulates the flow of digestive juices into the food in the duodenum. So that's all about today and this session. In the next section, we'll be dealing with the chemical reactions in digestion and the process of absorption. Doubts and queries can be mentioned in the comment box below. So that's all. Thank you.